All right, here we go. So basic code. Are y'all nervous?
Yes. I'm nervous for you.
Yeah, we got a live studio audience here for the screen video recording of HTML code. What? Austin. And the first thing you want to do is throw in your HTML tag, just like that. Now, good practice is to space down a few lines and make sure that you have your HTML in tag in there as well. The next thing you're going to want to do, keep in mind that the code is set up with two distinct areas. The head area, okay, which contains, in this case, the title. Later on, it will contain more. I'm just going to call it example code for now. And we got to make sure that we have that in tag in there as well. And then we're going to go ahead and end that first part of the head, okay? Now, the second part that we have is called, you guys all want to say it at the same time?
Body.
The body. Now, in my earlier experience with both 2nd and 6th-hour web design this semester, the in body tag is the most left out tag, okay? So let's get in the habit of, before we do any further web design, make sure that what you have looks as it looks on my screen, okay? That is a good starting point right there. We have a title, we have our header area, we have our body area, and we've ended all of our tags so far, okay? All right, now, once we have that, we can see that, or we can save it. So all I do is I hit Command S on my keyboard, and the first time that we do that, I'm prompted to give it a name. Now, a couple items that I want to make sure that you remember is, first of all, I like to save things on my desktop. The file name should have 0 spaces or special characters, okay? So if you want to call this like page 1, all right, that wouldn't work, all right? It needs to be page 1, no spaces. Now, every file that's saved on a computer, for the most part, has something called a file extension, all right? In this case, we're going to be utilizing .html. So go ahead and give it that file extension, and go ahead and make sure you know where you're saving it, and hit save. And just like that, the file will pop up on the desktop. Okay? To open that up, all you have to do is double click on it, and it should open up in a browser. In this case, my default browser is Chrome, and it will open up just like that. Now, you'll wonder why I have a bunch of tabs opening up on my screen. That's because I've told Chrome that when you open up, you need to automatically open up all these different tabs as well. Okay, so you're going to see that I have a whole bunch of tabs opening up, which I'm going to go ahead and close just for the sake of this lesson. Okay, now nothing is open. All right, and the reason is because there is no content. All right, meaning I haven't put anything in the body yet. So the first tag that I want to add to put something in the body is something called a p tag. All right, and just because I'm into good practice, I'm going to go ahead and end the p tag as well. Now, there's not going to be anything that shows up on my page. So if I Command S to save it, Command Tab to move over to Google Chrome, my browser, and Command R to refresh it, you will still see nothing. All right, I'm going to Command Tab back over, and I'm going to add something called content. This is content. All right. While these things here are called tags, okay, you have both a start tag and an end tag. The stuff that appears on the page is called content. Content plus a tag equals, say it louder, element. All right. So when I save this, tab over, refresh it, just like that, we have some content on our page. All right. Moving along. Additionally, we also have another tag called an H tag. H tags range in number from 1 to 6, with 1 being the largest and with 6 representing the smallest. Okay, and that's the range of numbers that you can use. There we go. Save it, tab over, refresh, and you can see the difference in the two. Okay, H6, H1, big difference in size. All right. So those are the two principal tags that we're going to use early on to add content to our page. All right. Now, if you'll notice that anytime that I add a new tag, okay, it spaces it down one line. If I were to hit enter a bunch of times and try and get more space in between, you notice it does nothing as I refresh it. All right. So in that instance, what you want to do is something called a BR tag. And I'm simply going to throw it in there. There, you notice that there's no dual tag in this particular example. It's just a one and done tag. All right. So you save that, you refresh, and you'll notice that it creates a blank line. Okay. If I do it again, save it, tab over, refresh, it'll do another blank line. Every time we have an instance of a BR tag, save it, tab over, refresh, it moves down a line. All right. Now it makes no difference how they appear, where they appear. A lot of people like to put them vertically like that, just designate a blank space, and that's fine. Okay. Save it, tab over, refresh. Okay. Notice it did nothing when it was horizontal or vertical. So that's that tag. Now, let's see here. Some of you would like early on to add some formatting. Okay, well, we're going to use CSS eventually. For now, to do some formatting, there's some simple tags that we can use. All right, a B tag, for example, will bold an element of text. All right, and you can't really see it because H tags are automatically bolded. But if I were to do this in like in a P tag, for example, you would see that my content went bold. Okay, just like that. In the same manner, I can use something called an I tag to make it italicized. Now, you'll notice the order that I'm adding these tags. All right, because I started my I first, I need to end my I last. All right, and that's kind of the order that you have to take. I could swap these two around, but the B would have to go first, and then the B would have to go last. Okay, I can add an underline tag. All right, and since I added it in the middle there, I have to make sure that I end it in the middle. Now, a lot of these changes are not going to make a big difference at this point because we're not working in strict code. As we get to that, though, you need to make sure you know how to do this, so let's learn it the right way now. Okay. Additional font formatting that you can use is with the font tag. Okay. And at this point, I'm just going to do it for the word this. If I just add a simple font tag, you notice that it will do nothing to the word this. I can refresh it as many times as I want. It's not going to do anything. Now, if I add some further instructions, like in this case they're called attributes, that will allow me to actually change how it appears. Okay, so if I want to change what it looks like, okay, I use a face attribute. And you notice when I go over here, it doesn't work for Chrome. Let's see, what's another one? Courier. Let's see if Courier works on Chrome. Courier works, okay? So the browser didn't recognize cracked. I wonder if it recognizes marker felt. Yes, it does, okay? So there's a certain amount of font that the browser will recognize, so you may have to play around with that a little bit. Additionally, we can update the size simply by typing in size. We'll say 8 in this case, and you notice that it adjusts the size. In the same manner, we can adjust the color, and we can use both text like this, like say red, okay? Or we can actually go and do a Google search for HTML color codes. And just like that, it will bring up a bunch of different websites that will display color codes. So let's say we wanted to have a nice, we'll go with a lighter blue. It will pop up the code right there. All I have to do is copy it, go over to my code, and paste it on in. Just like that. Save it, refresh it, and it changes the color. Okay? Now, this is one thing where I've noticed that people have been caught up on. You notice that I have all these instructions on my one font tag. Okay, remember those are called attributes. And you notice that at the end, I don't end my end tag with all those attributes. All right? So keep that in mind. All right? Just like I tell a lot of students, you don't read the instructions when you're done playing the game as well. You just read the instructions at the beginning. The same goes for these attributes. All you have to do is tell them once, and then at the end just end the font tag, and you can be done. All right. Let's see. So we've covered font. We've covered basic elements. Let's change the color of our background. All right. This is an attribute as well. This one's called a BG color. That stands for background color. And all you have to do is, just like you did with font color, you can either type in a color, okay, or you can go back to your color code. There we go. Copy that. A very interesting color of brown. Save it, refresh it, and just like that, it's updated. Okay? So very easy to do. Now you can add images as well, but I'm not going to go over that again. There's no reason for you to add an image at this point to your background. It looks sloppy. It doesn't often. Most of the time it'll tile, which takes away from the actual the browser text, which is a bad thing. Okay, so we're not going to spend time with that. All right, moving on. Let's say you want to link something. Okay, so let's add another p tag. Okay, and let's just say to go to Central Montcalm's web page, click here in that p tag. Okay, and if we want them to click here, all right, that's what we want to be linked. Okay, so if I save this, go over and refresh it just to make sure it's there, and sure enough it is. For those of you in the back that can't see on the overhead right now, because I do have students in here actually as well, if you didn't notice, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this font formatting over to this, and then in my font as well. And you'll notice that it changed, okay? But I want this word right here to be linked, okay? And you'll notice right now if I try and click on it, it's not going to take me anywhere. So I need to add a link tag to this. And a link tag is represented with an A tag, all right? And I put my A tag around what I want to be clickable or linkable, okay? In this case, it's here, okay? I say click here, all right? So you'll notice when I click and refresh it, nothing has changed, okay? In this case, it requires another attribute, all right? This attribute needs to tell the browser where to go. So, hey browser, when you see an A tag, it's a link, and you need to hyperlink reference to http www.centralmontcalm.org. And when we do that and save it and refresh it, look at that. There we go. Okay? And I also told you about a way that you can notice how when this opened, it opened right over top of where my code was. All right? I don't want that. I want it to open in a new tab. Very easy to do. As a further attribute, we add a target attribute. And that looks just like that. Save it, refresh it, and just like that, it opens up in a new tab. Okay? So I have both these tabs open now. All right? And I don't have to worry about backspacing or anything like that to get back to my other page. All right? This is very basic code right here. Now, some of you may want to add an image, okay? And it's very easy to do as well. Now, the most important thing with an image is we need to make sure that we do something called nesting our image. We can nest an image in a p tag. We can nest an image in any one of the h tags, okay? And we can also add an image to something called a list, okay, or any line within a list, okay? In addition, we can add our image to a table. All right, now, these two things you don't, well, you should know something about because we've covered it, but we haven't discussed yet, all right? We'll get to those. For the sake of this instruction, I'm just going to go ahead and add the image or nest the image in the p tags. So right there you have the tag for an image, all right? It's just a simple img. Now you're going to notice it didn't show up, all right? That's because, just like the last few things we've talked about, it requires an attribute, all right? So for this one, we're going to tell it the source, all right? And hopefully I just so happen to have an image on my desktop, which it does not appear that I do. That's a document. But all you need to do to add the image in here, actually I do have an image. Oh, Brady Hoke. I have an image of Brady Hoke. For those of you that are Michigan fans, this was Brady Hoke at the Michigan State game the other night when he found out, and this is a true story, that all in attendance get free tacos because Michigan State scored 70 points. Okay, and this is him giving props to Keith Appling for hitting the free throw. All right, because he was pumped about the free taco. Okay, so there you go, right there. That's how you add an image, okay? You can also resize your image by adding further attributes to it, okay? Notice that this image is taller than it is wide, so we got to make sure we keep that in mind, that ratio, that aspect ratio, when we add this. So we want to make sure that it's taller. So we'll just say 250, and this isn't going to be exact. And the width of, let's say, 150. You can obviously fine-tune this. It doesn't do a lot to it, but you notice that it resized, okay? We'll shrink this down to 180, and you can go just like that. Okay, and it resizes it. Let's see here. So that's images. We did links. I told you about lists. There's two types of lists that you can add, an ordered list and an unordered list. What you see right here is the beginnings of an unordered list, UL. Makes sense, doesn't it? And then go ahead and end the UL as well. And then for each line you have within the list, you need to start an LI tag. Line 1. And then end it. Okay, so let's say you want 3 lines. You're catching on pretty quick, I bet. And just like that, you refresh it, and you'll see that we have an unordered list. Now, if you want a list that's ordered, all you have to do is switch these to OLs, simple as that, and refresh it, and you'll see your list is now ordered with numbers. Okay? Now, jumping back a second just to an image, I guess I should tell you that you can also link an image. Anything that goes between A tags is linkable. Okay? Image, text, things like that. You just simply go ahead and add your hyperlink reference, HTTP, wherever you want it to go. You can copy and paste links as well. All right, and just like that, when we go over the image, it'll take us to mlive.com. Okay? So very easy to do, and that's right there in the code. Let's see what else. We got tables, links. Oh, we haven't done tables yet. But before we get to tables, I want to make sure that I show you how you can align items. All right. So let's say you have this image right here, and you want to go ahead and align it to the right side. You simply add an attribute to the p tag there, and type in right. There you go. If you want to center something, that's very easy as well. We just can add a center tag, and make sure you end it. Okay, you don't have to end this align because it's an attribute, but this you can see is actually a tag on its own. So you're going to want to make sure that you end that. Okay, and you notice that it centered it right here. All right, so very easy to align items. Now the last thing that I want to talk about, I believe, is a table. Okay, and we've been talking about tables in class and how we can use them both to display and to organize our entire page. Okay, it needs a start tag and an end tag, and a table has 4 different actually tags that are associated with it. Okay, the table tag, the table row tag, and the TD tag or the TH tag. Okay, so that gives you your 4th. TH is just like that. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do TDs, and let's make sure that we end it. And I didn't end my table row, so I'm going to do that as well. So essentially, what we have right here, what we're looking at, is a 1-cell table. And if I save it and refresh it, you can see that I added a 1-cell table. And if you don't believe me, I'll just go ahead and add a border attribute. Just like that, so you can actually see a border around it. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more cells into here. And I'm just going to go ahead, I just selected it and copied and pasted it so I don't have to type it all out. And just like that, I have 3 columns. Now, let's say I want a 3-column, 3-row table. Very easy to do. I just selected and copied my first row and did it 2 more times. Saved it, refreshed it, moved over, and there you have it.
Can you change the background back to like some normal color?
Okay. My audience is having trouble seeing the brown up there, so up on the overhead that they're witnessing or watching in class. So I'm going to go ahead and change it to a red. Does that help a little bit? Okay. Maybe a yellow would even help even more. Even better, right? Look at that. Now everything's just standing out. Although that's too much Michigan color for me. So I'm going to go switch it to pink. There we go. Perfect. All right. Now, we only have about 3 minutes left in this class, so we got to hurry up and wrap this up. In addition, you can do things like a column span and a row span. So let's say that I wanted to make this whole top area right here just one continuous cell. Well, I would just go ahead to my TD and I would do what's called a column span because I want that cell to span out over all 3 columns. And when I do that and refresh it, boom, we got it right there, okay? All I need to do to even that up is go through here and delete these other cells that were sticking out, and just like that. Now, a nice thing that we can do is we can also add a table header, and that will bold it and center it. Okay, There's a lot more that you can experiment with. That's the gist of it right there. That's your basics. A great reference tool right here with the screen recording. I would advise that you hit this up, especially when you're studying for a quiz that you might have coming up. And if you have any questions, let me know.